everybody, it's Drybear. And the last week or so has been crazy for Star Citizen. So what I want to do today is actually walk through all the major updates, like planned updates through the next month, 2 months, 3 months, and also some of the things they talked about through 2026. Now, their CitizenCon this year was a little bit shorter than it usually is, but it was still several hours. So what I'm going to try to do today is just focus on the highlights, the overall, just so you're in the know of what's going on in the verse. Now, the first thing I want to talk about are the 3 new ships that are coming to the game and are pretty awesome. We've got various different ships to look at and some new ones to talk about. So let's talk about those because those are brand new. Now, to be honest, I am a huge fan of any of the alien ships. I love my Prowler. I like the Shrike, and I like all the different aspects. I even like the alien space crab we've got with the Defender and things like that. But the new ship we're looking at here is going to be the Stinger, and this one is absolutely diabolical. Now, this is the Vanduul or Esperia Stinger that's coming to the game, and it is a heavy fighter and looks absolutely gorgeous. There is an asterisk here because if you play the Stinger in game, it does have some issues right now. One, the maneuverability is actually pretty low, even for a heavy fighter for the most part. It also has some capacitor issues because it has like a lot of power usage with the large weapons that it has on the front, which ends up chewing through your capacitors in a couple volleys and you run out. So right now there's still going to be some issues with the way the ship functions, but hopefully over time they end up adjusting it. I think the cockpit looks great. The style of the ship is really wicked. It's got the whole kind of like Esperia vibe with the biomechanical aspects to it. Now, as much as I love the alien tech, there's definitely some issues. Like there's a lot of wasted space inside because they have like the cockpit that like the chair you sit in for the pilot seat that moves forward. It's got this really wicked like rib cage view that comes out the backside that opens. The sound design is really great. Same thing for like the Prowler, some of the other options we have for there as well, which are really awesome. I just think they need to put more into this design language, and they're pushing it forward with the Stinger, and likely this ship did come from Squadron 42, so it's a really good option. But I would say if you're looking for a new heavy fighter to look at, this one definitely still has a lot of issues as far as performance and viability. But if you love the ship, hopefully they end up buffing it or improving it in the future. It is definitely one of the most striking ships. Like, I'm one of those weirdos, I'll admit it. I fly the Seulin almost every day. I know it's odd and weird. I just love the alien ships. They're so cool and unique and different in my eyes. Next up is the Shiv, which is a new manufacturer of sorts. The whole point of this manufacturer is that they just kit bash. It's for the brokies of the verse that don't really have a lot of money to go to the main manufacturers and buy full ships. And so the Shiv is basically a scrapyard variant of the ships that are there now. It's got like the Cutlass body. You can actually see it in the interior as well when you go in. It's got the Cutlass interior as well. It's basically kind of like this medium fighter that has 32 STU of storage and then has a whole bunch, like has different engines from different ships. It's got a different bespoke on it that's obviously just kit bashed and like welded onto the outside of it. So super different, super unique. But as the functionality goes, this ship is actually incredibly useful. Again, it's got good firepower, good maneuverability, and comes with 32 STU, which for ships of this kind of performance, we don't usually see that much storage on board that you can use as part of it. So if you're looking for a ship that is not really the prettiest ship, but is highly functional, I think the Shiv is an excellent addition to the game. And lastly, we have the Paladin. This is the new gunship that has been added to the game. This one is actually a powerhouse. It's got a lot of different options for different coverage around the ship itself. For the Redeemer, you probably have a lot of preference for the Redeemer itself, but I think the Paladin also is a great addition to the game, a cool profile, good visual overall. Then I think a lot of people that like the Anvil style and that kind of perspective and design language for ships. And if you have a crew of up to 4 that you want to cruise around and be safe doing so, this is an excellent gunship for it, which is really awesome. Which is kind of wicked too, because we don't always get this many ships back to back, especially when we have IAE in November next month coming very, very soon. So a couple new ships being added to the game. I would say most of them are really good. I just hope we get to see some more buffs for the Stinger, some more functionality being brought into the game. We're also getting a new star system with Nyx, and unlike Pyro, instead of trying to do all of it at once, they're going to be introducing bits and pieces of Nyx as they go. If Stanton is your normal system, I mean, aside from Terra, which we don't even have in the game yet, but the normal system, Stanton is very even-keeled, decent temperatures, a wide range of temperatures, that sort of thing. We have Pyro, which is very messy and wild and a very hot star that burns bright. Nyx is a lot colder, so a lot more asteroids, mining, machinery, and a lot more harsh temperatures on the cold side that push pushes that forward. I think that's going to create a lot of really interesting opportunities to space things out. And it also means that we get a new system that we can travel to on the regular to be able to move around between the spaces, because I think the wormhole travel that they introduced about 2 years ago now is one of the coolest things they've done for the game. So being able to do it more is going to be a really awesome opportunity. They're also adding in some really cool missions in the next area. We'll start with an asteroid area that's going to be hollowed out, and it's going to be more about fixing machinery, diving deep into the asteroid, and also dealing with the new Vanduul threat. We're going to get more incursions and invasions from Vanduul. That's why we're getting the Stinger. We already have the Glaive and the Scythe, and we have a lot more Vanduul. They're basically just like the murderers of the universe. They like to come along and just cause problems for everybody, and they want to destroy everyone that's not Vanduul. And also will give us a little bit more purpose for the like groups getting actual like escorts that help you move through the system, because if there's planned invasions or interceptions, especially when you're trying to travel with cargo, is going to make a really big difference on that side of the front. And maybe that means that we get either more missions for like actual bodyguard security details to protect ships that may not have as much as they need, or also just gives people reason to group up and actually move together in like even just a PvE setting when you know the Vanduul is lurking around every corner. They also talked about adding a unique mission that is basically the invasion on the Death Star, like a trench run where you actually go and try to destroy a encampment or emplacement that is very defensive. And this actually has a defensive turret on it that is strong enough to destroy capital ships. So even if you have an Idris or Polaris, you won't be able to just fly in whenever you want, because you will get destroyed. And so it is gonna, at least based on the footage they've shown us, looks like it's gonna be focused on actually like the Death Star run, where you have to come in, infiltrate, destroy key aspects to it, destroy the turrets, and then get on board and then destroy the center of it as that part of it. And I think that introduces a new kind of mission that should be pretty fun. Another interesting topic is they actually touched on instancing. Now, about a year ago, they introduced server meshing, which has been relatively stable for the most part and has allowed large numbers of players to exist in the same area, and switching between them is actually pretty stable for the most part. However, there has been a lot of issues. If you did the resource drive event where you had to haul cargo from like outposts back to space stations, there's tons of griefing, pad ramming, people getting in the way, or just people leaving their ships in the area too. And so there's obviously been major problems when they do these kinds of missions and events. And so they're finally talking about a system that is a little bit in contrast to their goal of creating this persistent universe, and that is the idea of instancing, which means creating a separate instance for people that will be able to scale with whether you're doing only PvE, only PvP, or varying based on group size of 4 to 15 to 30, that sort of thing. Now, this is a little bit more of a philosophical point, because they have talked about in the past how they want it to be, again, it's called the verse. They want it to be this persistent universe where you're always being able to interact with each other, but they finally have recognized that having everything be completely persistent ruins the experience for some of the crafted interactions or storytelling that they want to create, where obviously griefers can come and mess things up, or, you know, an org can come and dominate things, especially when they started adding all these new like Onyx facilities and even being able to do with the new worms and everything. There's been issues where people will just sit with an Idris with their rail cannon floating above the station, blasting anyone who doesn't have a large org to be able to do that sort of thing. So I think they finally recognized that at least for some things, they will need instancing of some kind, and the fact that they're working on it, I think, is positive. Now, they obviously have instancing for personal hangars. This was a big addition for them. It's obviously impossible for them to do actual hangars. You can't have 700 persistent hangars in a space station. So they do have instancing already, but now they're talking about seriously doing instancing for specific missions, story or narrative focused missions, or even just interactions that might be focused more on PvP or PvE. And we'll have to see how this fleshes out over time. Let me know what you think about that down below. Now, one of the coolest aspects of Star Citizen is the vistas, like the actual setup of the planets, the environments, the different kind of ecosystems that you'll find, and it is one of the best aspects of Star Citizen. But they actually announced in this Citizen Con that they're going to be making it better. They're actually trying to work hard on things like mipping or level of detail. As you come down on a planet, it may look different than when you get closer, and they're trying to work on ways to improve that. Now, there obviously is some performance implications from these changes, but from the footage that they've shown and what they've talked about, it seems like they're going to be making the planets even cooler, which is one of the biggest aspects of Star Citizen that really no other game can compete with is the level of detail they have on their planets, the different environments, the different ecosystems that you go through, and just how unique and interesting that they feel. And so what they're working on is not only expanding the variety that's there, but increasing the detail that's on it, and also dealing with like things like mipping, which is based on how far away you are from the detail that's on the map, being able to improve that process to be even more elegant so that it looks as like accurate to what you're seeing from a distance or up close or even at medium length to make everything look really good. I think the shots they've shown here look awesome. Obviously, some of these are very dressed up and not everyone's machine is going to look this way, but I think in general, it is one of the best aspects of Star Citizen, and it's kind of cool that they are still kind of keeping this on their radar for the future. They also mentioned on something that has been in the works for, I don't even know how long, the idea of general crafting. One of my favorite parts about games like Star Wars Galaxies was the idea that you could find blueprints, get special materials, and based on your skill, you could craft really, really cool weapons, armor, gear, that sort of thing. And as it stands right now, most of what you get in Star Citizen is either bought through the online shop for real money, or bought through the vendors in-game, or dealing with the big bad Wicklow just to get things that you want. But now they've been talking about an actual crafting system where artisans, players, can put in good blueprints, good materials, and based on your skill level, can create really good weapons, armor, various other consumables, and things like that. Now, they didn't mention anything about trading or setting up your own personal shop, which I think was a big aspect and big part of Star Wars Galaxies getting that right. But it's cool that they're talking about more crafting aspects where you could potentially create your own unique, super awesome armor, weapons, gear, items, that sort of thing that will make a massive impact on your immersion in the verse. Now, personally, my hope is as they move towards 1.0 at some point in the future, I hope they actually start moving towards more of a utilitarian approach. There's definitely a lot of things in Star Citizen, like the UI for your inventory, picking things up and putting them down, using the elevators, some of the screens, things like that. A lot of them are more about how cool it looks rather than how well it functions. And I hope that, they've talked about an inventory system coming online soon. Some of this, I think they probably should just do away with 3D models for the items. Some of it just performs really poorly or looks really awkward or it's really slow. And especially since it's server authoritative inventory, sometimes you'll move things over from one side of your, like from the storage box to your inventory, and then it fails and you have to move it back, and then you have to close it out and open your backpack again and grab the box again and move it around. Like, it just feels really awkward. So they have showed off some new things for crafting and some new inventory options. I'm gonna wait and save my opinion until I actually see it in game. It could end up being just a side grade, but hopefully as they start improving the systems, things get better and better, and we start seeing crafting becoming a big part of the verse, a big part of your experience, but also improving the inventory system, the navigation system, and the UI systems to actually be something functional rather than something that just looks pretty or sounds cool. And that's where we're at for Citizen Con. The big things to look at there are the 3 new ships coming online. I think the Shiv is really awesome. I actually love the Stinger so much. I just hope that they balance it a little better so it's a little bit easier to use. I think a lot of people like the Paladin. I'm gonna wait to see because I usually play solo, so Paladin's a little bit too much, like it's too much house for me in my total play style for a general. But if you have a group of 2 to 4 players and you like the gunship's playstyle, I think the Paladin is really awesome. We didn't hear anything on the Kraken specifically or the Perseus, and we also didn't hear anything about engineering gameplay, which they've talked about for a long time, or data running, which they've talked about for a long time. But we have IAE next month, so maybe with that, with new ship sales and things coming online, we'll see a little bit more on that as well. So let me know what you think about the CitizenCon news, the updates for Star Citizen down below in the comments. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.